heard the story of the crucifixion 100 times, but I promise you, you've never heard it like this. Because hidden in the shadows of Calvary, in realms most people never talk about, something happened that defies logic. The stone remembers. It bears the weight of ages. Watching is the wall, so ask yourself, why did the sky go dark at noon? What was Jesus really doing in the spirit while his body hung dying? And what exactly did Michael and Uriel do when the King of Glory was pierced by the spear of a Roman soldier? Stay with me, because once you hear what these two archangels did at the cross, you'll never see Jesus or spiritual warfare the same way again. And if you're new here, welcome to Bible Mysteries, the place where we uncover the hidden, the divine, from angelic warfare to prophetic secrets. If it's in the Bible and it's mysterious, you'll find it right here. So buckle up, like and subscribe, and let's go deeper. Chapter 1: The Veiled War over Calvary. What if you could see in the spirit? What if you could pierce through the veil that separates the natural from the supernatural? What if, right above that hill called Golgotha, there was a war happening? A war that was older than time itself. For 3 whole hours, the earth stood beneath a supernatural eclipse. But this wasn't just about the sun refusing to shine. Oh, this darkness wasn't physical, it was spiritual. You see, in the heavenly realm, something was stirring above the cross. Above the cross, in the invisible world that exists parallel to our own. The air was charged with divine tension. Angels weren't singing. They were silent, watching, waiting. The sky was not just dark, it was under siege. Lucifer, the fallen one, the ancient dragon who once sang in the courts of heaven, was watching from his throne of shadows. Ever since he heard the prophecy that the seed of the woman will crush her head, now here was the seed, hanging, bleeding, helpless, dead. Or so it seemed. But Lucifer wasn't alone in watching. Hovering in realms unseen were two: Michael, the Archangel of War, and Uriel, the Archangel of Divine Light and Secrets. Standing on either side, spiritual boundary between heaven and earth, guardians of the moment the universe had been waiting for. Truth. Michael's appearance was nothing short of terrifying. A being of impossible height and strength, dressed in gold. His sword was drawn, glowing with the names of God carved with clay. His wings were not feathered. Uriel, on the other hand, was like a walking furnace. His body radiated with the color of the sun, his eyes white-hot with revelation. He is not often mentioned in scripture, but he was known in the ancient texts as the angel of wisdom, prophecy, and divine mysteries. These two have been silent watchers across the centuries, guardians of God's redemptive timeline. This wasn't going according to Lucifer's plan. It was too quiet. There was no resistance. It was almost like Jesus was letting it happen. Jesus. And that's what terrified hell. Because demons understand something many believers still don't: power restraint. He could have stepped off that cross with a single breath and turned Golgotha into a crater. But he didn't. And in the spiritual realm, that silence was deafening. Michael looked at Uriel and said nothing. He had his grip on his sword tightened. Uriel, glowing with white fire, didn't flinch. His eyes were locked on Jesus' face, even from the height of heaven, because they knew something we didn't. Thus, they knew what was coming. Now listen carefully. Before time began, before the stars were born, is the redemption plan of God Himself. And written into that scroll was every moon, every prophet that this exact hour that scroll was opening. Jesus wasn't dying because He lost, He was dying because He was winning. And the only way to win this kind of war was to go lower than death, deeper than shame and darker than sin itself. Uriel knew it. Michael could feel it in his bones. But even knowing the plan, they both felt what no angel had ever felt before. Helpless. They couldn't move unless heaven commanded it. They couldn't interfere unless the sun gave the word. And then, it happened. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. The cry didn't just echo across the skull-shaped hill. It pierced through dimensions. It wasn't a cry of weakness. It was a summons, a signal. And Michael knew it. And in the quiet between heaven and earth, the king who was bleeding on the tree gave an invisible command, one that changed the course of eternity. But every throne in heaven, every principality, every demon hiding in the shadows of the cross felt it. A divine whisper. And the message was simple. Hold the line. Guard what is mine. Now that might not sound earth-shattering at first, but when it came from the mouth of the eternal Son, bleeding and crowned with thorns, that command activated the heavens. Jesus was hanging on the edge of two realms. His body was in the natural. His soul was in Michael, the war angel of God, left into formation. From the very beginning, Michael was heaven's general. Forward, my allegiance. Charge. He stood in a realm just above the Roman sky, sword drawn, but not for bloodshed. This time, But more than that, he was guarding the transfer. Because when Jesus took on the sins of the world, said, every soul, every curse, every failure was being placed onto him. And that's why Michael was there. He was there to ensure no demon interfered. No, Michael wasn't allowed to interfere in the physical realm, but in the spiritual, he was untouchable. He stood like a wall between heaven and hell, between the dying Christ and the realm of demonic legalism. But what about Uriel? He isn't the angel of war like Michael. He doesn't roar in the clouds or strike the earth. No, Uriel is faith, revelation, light. He brings the secrets of God into the minds of men and angels. And at that cross, Uriel's assignment was no less terrifying. Because in that moment, Jesus wasn't just dying. He was becoming sin. Uriel, burning with the fire of God's mysteries, stood as the guardian of revelation, ensuring that what Jesus did, he released a wave of divine light across time, a spiritual ripple that would one day wake. At the exact moment Jesus breathed his last breath, the veil in the temple tore. But that wasn't just fabric ripping. That veil was symbolic of separation between man and God. It stood between the holy place and the holy of holies. But when Jesus died, that veil was destroyed. What most people don't realize is because the Lamb had just become the bridge, the veil no longer needed guarding. It means something huge. Even when it looks like you're defeated in the natural, even when the enemy surrounds you, Your blood may be spilling, your strength may be fading, but in the spirit, there is activity. Jesus had breathed his last. The ground quaked, the rocks split, the veils. Sheol isn't hell the way Hollywood pictures it. In the ancient Hebrew understanding, Sheol was the realm of the dead. It held the wicked in torment, the righteous in peace, often called Abraham's bosom, and a gulf between them that no man could cross. But Jesus wasn't a man now. He was the Word in spirit form, still carrying the scars of the cross, still wrapped in the weight of sin. And Uriel, burning with holy flame, lighting the darkness. The Psalms actually prophesied, and the King of Glory shall come in, Psalm 24:7. Now read that again with this moment in mind. And what does he do? He doesn't knock. He speaks. Not loud, not dramatic. And the gates begin to roll. Not because metal moved, but because ego changed. Now here's where things get intense. Michael, though known as the Angel of War, wasn't there to fight. He was there to enforce. Sword in hand, clearing in the spirit realm, this transfer is lawful. While Michael enforced the authority of Christ, Uriel did something unimaginable. Truth. He carried a portion of the seal, the mysteries of God, locked away since the beginning of time. And as you, mysteries the prophets long to see, mysteries the angel desired to look into. Thus, and as he did, the truth of the cross began to flood the underworld. Souls who had waited in the promise, they saw the fulfillment, they saw the land, they saw the light, and they rose in glory. This wasn't just a descent, it was a jailbreak. Thus, not crafted by men, not forged in fire, but etched with eternity, the key of Hades. Resurrection didn't start at the tomb. It started in Sheol. It started when death is. And when he rose 3 days later, wasn't just for himself. It was for every soul he carried with him out of that darkness. So now you know when Jesus was nailed to that cross, he wasn't abandoned, he wasn't weak, he wasn't defeated. He was commanding the angels in silence, issuing orders from agony. Overthrowing, Michael stood with a sword in hand, not to fight flesh and blood, but to guard transfer of eternal power. Uriel burned with the mysteries of God, not just to observe, but to illuminate everything that had been hidden since the beginning of time. Because the moment Jesus said it is finished, Michael raised his blade. Uriel shield's glow and eternity shifted. It means you were never meant to fight alone. It means even in your lowest moment, when you're by, heaven is still moving. There are angels on assignment. There is a plan, because sometimes your greatest victory comes not when you shout, but when you endure, just like he did. So I ask you again, what really happened on that cross? Why did the sky turn black at noon? Why did the veil tear? And why? Why were two of the greatest angels in creation silently standing over a bloody, brutal scene? Because it was a sacrifice with orders. A king laying down his life, not just to die, but to take back everything we lost. Like Uriel saw, and now you've seen it too. Now I want to hear from you. Which moment showed you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't just watch, join the revelation. And if it's opened your eyes, share it, like it, subscribe. Because what's coming next, you won't believe it either.